Hi everyone, my name is Shivam Bajaj. In this video, I'll give you a walkthrough and understanding of part 1 of fullstackopen.com. Fullstackopen.com is an open source bootcamp where they teach you the skills required to become a full stack web developer. Part 1 of fullstackopen.com is all about the bare minimum skills required to build simple web apps using JavaScript, React.js. In this section, in this part, there are four sections. Each section teaches you a different thing. The first parts are the sections are laid out like they teach you about the JavaScript, React.js, event handlers in journal and in React.js, debugging React.js app, and using use state hook in React.js. Okay, let me give a walkthrough of each section. Let us jump to the section Introduction to React. So this section is pretty much straightforward and simple. Here they directly jump into writing React.js code using White as a build tool instead of create React app, which was previously used here. Using this tool, okay, so White is a build tool. Using this tool, you can create a template or boilerplate code which is required, or both the boilerplate code which is required to start writing Java's React.js code. So this will save you time. You don't have to create all those configurations. In case you don't know, don't worry, just start using this tool and writing React.js code. In this section, they teach you how to write web apps using React.js code or simple apps using React.js code. Here they teach you what is a component, how to use JSX, what is the difference between JSX and HTML, how JSX is pretty much JavaScript and XML, or JavaScript and the HTML. Then they teach you how to use multiple components in your app on your website, then how to communicate between them. So they teach you how to pass data from your parent component to child component, or how to pass data between two components. Then the possible error messages in React. And last, the important thing what they teach in this section is you shouldn't be rendering objects in React.js. React.js can only render the primitive values. I repeat again, React.js can only render the primitive values. If you pass an object to the React.js, hey, please render this, it won't render and it will throw an error message to you, which can be seen pretty much here. Objects are not as a valid React child. Okay, it can only render the primitive values, be it number, string, or any other thing. The primitives are allowed. The cool thing here is, what if you pass array? So yes, React.js will take the array as an input and it will see if the array of items are primitive values, then it will render them. If it's an array of objects, again it will throw the same error. Objects are not as valid React side. So this section is pretty much about introduction to React.js. Now moving to the next section, the JavaScript section. Okay, in this section they teach you the bare minimum JavaScript you need to know to build web apps, the simple web apps, the toy projects web apps using React.js. In this section, they teach you about the variables, how to write variables, difference between different techniques for creating variables, then what are the arrays, object, function. Till here, everything is pretty much straightforward and simple, nothing complex. Then the complexity, or I won't use a keyword complexity, it won't be right, but then the interesting part comes, the this keyword and the classes syntax in JavaScript. These two concepts, these two concepts will help you a lot. They will help you understand how this works in JavaScript, how scope works in JavaScript, how classes works in JavaScript, how the class syntax of the classes in JavaScript is different from other programming languages such as JavaScript or C Sharp. There's a great difference between both the words of the JavaScript and other programming words when it comes to the classes, and this is pretty much related to binding the scope of the current function. So how this get calculated, how this got calculated, they'll teach you about, okay, how this is getting calculated here, why this is useful, how this was used previously in React.js. So those all things will be covered here. Okay. So completing these two first section, introduction to React and the JavaScript, you will now have the bare minimum skills and the knowledge required to build web apps. A simple web apps where you can pass some steady data and render something. Now, coming to the another interesting section, the state and the event handlers. In this section, they teach you about the use state hook. How using the use state hook You can re-render the UI, or you can change the UI, or can change the page. Using use that hook, you can ask the user for input, and based on the user input, you can change the page, or re-render it, or even change some component. So this section is integration between the use state hook and the event handlers. So they teach you about using use state. Okay, you can change the UI. Even the right word will be re-render the UI. And using event handlers, you can combine the user input and use state into a functionality where based on the user input, you will be changing the UI. Isn't it interesting? Like you are asking the user for the input, based on the user input, you are saying React.js, hey bro, please re-enter the UI as entered by the user or as the commands given by the user. Not a straightforward topic if you're a beginner. You might get some goosebumps like, okay, what is happening here and how it is working here? What's the thought process of thinking? Why they are thinking this way? Those things will be clear as you move on and write more code in React.js. So again, to conclude, this section is all about combining the use of use state hook and event handlers. So they don't only teach you about event handlers in React.js, but they teach you event handlers in general as well. Now coming to the last section, debugging and more complex state management. This section is bits about combining. This section is all about combining bits of different things, where they teach you okay how you can debug the React app, okay, how you can manage state when things get complex, like when you have to use multiple set states or multiple use state hooks in a component or multiple components, or how you can manage the state, how you can use arrays and use state hook to all together. And why the state update is asynchronous. Again, I repeat, why the state update is asynchronous. You might be thinking the state update is synchronous, but not, it is asynchronous. Why it's asynchronous? For that, you need to understand how browser works. And then you will get to understand, okay, what is asynchronous is and why it is asynchronous and why it can't be done why it can't be done synchronously. Then they teach about the conditional rendering, where how you can render the two probes based on some condition or the backend logic or even the user interaction. Like really, based on the user given input, you can switch between two components. Isn't it wonderful? Yes, it is. Tip for you here is just don't overconsume the conditional rendering. Using conditional rendering and switching between multiple components might not be good for you. Why? Because we humans write code for the humans, not for the machine. So it must be understandable, manageable, and editable by the other humans or programmers as well. Then they teach about the debugging React application and the rules of hook. Uh, Read it until you understand it. This section is interesting and they teach you the basics of React.js hooks. You cannot skip this section. You need to understand how hooks works and and why they work the way they work. So this is a small section where you won't understand why they work, but they teach you about the rules of hook and give you a brief description about the hook rules. So rules of hooks are nothing. They are just some rules, okay, which tell okay you can't use hook outside a function component. You should be using it at the top and a few such things. Then they move to part. Uh, then they move to revisiting the sections. Okay. One thing which I forgot to mention earlier. At the end of each section, you will get topics which are about reorganizing and reformatting your code. So what do I mean by that? It's refactoring of your code, where they teach you how can you, based on your current skills and knowledge, teach a possibly bad code, eternally bad code, or better, or not too good to understand code into a better or, or more good to understandable code, where they teach you using these skills and knowledge you currently have and these sections of refactoring. You can change the shape and you can organize your code more easily, which convey its meaning by in easy terms or easy to the user or the human, which will be reading, which will be reading this code, writing or editing code or managing this code. Because as I said earlier, we are not writing code for the machines, we are writing code for the humans. Yeah. In this section, it is pretty much all about web programmers or so this last few things are all about the auths and the refactoring. So yeah, this was pretty much everything in this section. So this part is all about the bare minimum skills you require to build simple web apps using JavaScript and React.js, where they teach you about the minimum the JavaScript required, the minimum React.js required, and the event handlers. Combining these three all together, now you can build a simple web apps. By simple web apps, I mean a web app like calculator, a lucky number app, or even an emoji interpreter app. Why don't you interpret the emojis which are entered by the user and show them, hey bro, this is the meaning of the emojis. Can it goes emoji tag for the app idea? Yep. So yeah, thank you. This was pretty much in this video. Thank you for watching this video.